Hey people, how you doing? Matt Phillips here, creator of OneChatLife.com and host of the Sports Therapy Association podcast. Welcome to episode 143. As always, recorded live on the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel. So if you are listening to the podcast, thank you very much. If we can persuade you to come along and maybe join us live, then all you got to do is go along to Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel at 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening, every Tuesday for the last 143 weeks. And that gives you a chance to ask the guests questions directly and also hang out with the other people in the live lounge who are already flocking in. I leave it 1 minute just on purpose to let you guys, give you guys a chance to settle. For example, Penny from Soma Sports Massage Therapy is here saying, here, waiting to join in. Looking forward to this as always. Fantastic. Nice to see Penny in the house. Nikki Mansfield is here. Evening all. Hey, Nikki, how are you doing? It's great to have a regular list of people. And like I say, if you listen to the podcast and you can't think of anything better to do with your time on a Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, then I do recommend you come along. Really nice people. Gary Benson, founder of the STA, is here as well in the background, ready to support any of you if you do need. And of course, you can chat with each other in the chat. And if you want to bring a question up onto the screen, then I can put it up on the screen. For example, at the moment, I'm seeing Gary Benson with this distinctive green circle with a white G on it. So yeah, you can advertise your logo. It's networking. It's an option here, if you wish. Anyway, so it's the first Tuesday of a month. And so what we do and have done for the last 2 months, is we invite Tim Allardyce, founder of Rehab My Patient, Group Clinical Director, NHS England Clinical Entrepreneur, to take up the hot seat in our very popular series. Now, I can say very popular because people are looking forward to it, which is great. It's only took a couple of months for questions to come in. In our series, Ask Tim. And as always, if you have got questions for Tim, then all you need to do is email it to me, and I am Matt at @sta.co.uk. Then I can put it to Tim on the night. Or like I said, if you want to come in and ask them to Tim yourself, then just come along Tuesdays, 8 o'clock to the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel. Very excited tonight. I know a lot of you are as well. I really had to twist his arm. I said it last week when we concluded our focus on the lower back. I twisted his arm because I wanted him to come along and talk about rehab exercise prescription, because released earlier, I think a couple of days ago, it appeared on Facebook. Rehab My Patient, which Tim modestly is the founder and creator of, did release what all feedback so far has been an excellent new section of strength and conditioning exercises. Nearly 1,000 exercises, including plyometrics, TRX, Olympic lifting, and a lot more. Now, Tim, if anyone knows Tim, he really doesn't like being put under the spotlight. He doesn't want to get the idea that we're selling this. It's not at all. And he will reiterate this throughout. There are plenty of other exercise prescription clinic software out there. And tonight is not, well, it's my endorsement, but it's not an STA or an official kind of, this is the one you need to get. And indeed, if people in here want to say other names, we can talk about other ones, that's fine. What tonight is about is how you can use, or how to prescribe exercises. Maybe for some of you, the best method is the old-fashioned way that I remember very well, just little stick men. You can do a lot with a stick man. Or maybe something I enjoyed doing, probably, I don't know, when mobile phones started coming out, just videoing the client themselves and then on their phone and giving them the video. Then you've got no data protection issues because it's just giving them their phone with themselves doing the exercise, and then your voice in the background, and they can watch it and pause it. That was great when phones came out, and that was one of my favorite ways of doing it. Or you can invest in some clinical software like Rehab My Patient and other brands out there, which would obviously do vary, but it is a very professional way of doing it. And you've got a fantastic selection with some of them, which we can talk about as well tonight. So that's what we're doing. I hope I've eased him in his seat. He stopped squirming a little bit because he didn't want this to become like a sales pitch at all. And you'll soon see from listening to him that it won't be at all. Anyway, before I bring up Tim, the rest of the month, just to let you know, will be a focus on a selection of CPD happening over the next 2 months, either online or face-to-face here in the UK. And we will start next week, which is April the 11th, with my guest, Dr. Gary Mendoza, who a lot of you will know thanks to Therapy Expo and other episodes we've had on the STA podcast. He's the founder of Stages of Change, and actually did Gary's motivational interviewing and behavior change course a couple of months ago online. Excellent course, if I say so myself, something I'm really passionate about and into. The fact that it's all very well telling a patient or client what to do and giving them fantastic advice according to your ears, but unless you know what stage they are in terms of making a change to their behavior and everything, or if you just, maybe they're not the sort of person who's ready to do it now, maybe they need easing in or something, then they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to hear you. And maybe you haven't been listening or hearing them. So it's a really fantastic course. And what we're going to do next week is I've invited Gary back with a couple of other people on the course, along with myself, and we're going to chat about the course. And it's be a great opportunity, I think. Again, I'm not selling it. I'm just thinking something for you guys to consider. And then later on, we've got Ben Cormack coming in and other people as well. So it should be a fun-filled month of CPD you may want to consider. Anyway, that's that. That's what's happening in the rest of April, I should say. Yeah, that's where we are this month. But for now, tonight, he's back. We have a lovely bunch of questions for him. Let's bring up Mr. Tim Allardyce. Hello, mate.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Doing good. Really good.
Did I manage to put that clear enough across for you?
Yeah, you know what? I really I really just want to try and make this I don't know, like interactive, educational, informative. It really is about just getting some ideas out there and let's having a chat about it rather than let's Rehab My Patient, go and subscribe. It really isn't about that. I mean, just this is just a tool. It's one of many tools you can use to demonstrate, and that's my main purpose.
Fantastic, good. I think that's pretty clear. And yeah, as always, looking forward to your experience. It's pretty good though. I'll probably say that a few times, but well done, mate. Anyway, smashing. But so, people who are in the live lounge, you are welcome to ask questions. Oh, you know what I'm going to do tonight, Tim? For the first time ever on a podcast.
Yeah.
Put my glasses on.
Oh, I know. What? You've got very similar glasses to me.
Oh, let's do it together. Let's be glasses friends. Look at that.
Are they the same?
Oh, look at that. Like something.
They're similar, aren't they?
I'll be 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸, Rick.
Mine make my eyes look bigger though.
I can't get by it anymore, especially with this setup with the computers and everything, and screens in front of me. I just can't do it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to keep mine on now. I'm so glad that thousands of people listen to this, and only about 30.
Right up to the camera so I can really see it.
No, I can't. I've got a big red microphone in the way, so no, I can't. But anyway, I should have gone to Specsavers. Thank you very much. Someone has probably typed that in the comments.
That's where I got mine, from Specsavers.
Spec Twin, says Nikki Mansfield. Thank you very much, Nikki. Yeah, let's not draw too much attention to it. Thank you very much.
It's just an aging thing, don't worry, Matt.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I only got mine about 4 or 5 months ago.
Really? Congratulations.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I know it's because I'm getting old. I kept squinting to see the computer, so I thought I'd better go and get some.
I know. And it's fine until people like Penny here just burst out with ha, 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 ha in the comments. So it's okay. As long as we don't see too much of that, then we won't feel too so.
It's part of the body's natural degenerative changes, I think.
Exactly. It's fine. Anyway, right. So we're gonna swiftly move on. So yeah, I've got questions lined up, but again, people in the live lounge, you have joined us live, so if you've got particular questions, the topic is just rehab exercise and its prescription through software, okay? Or maybe it's just rehab exercise prescription. So I'm going to start off with what I've had on the list. Thank you for people who emailed in. One of you even said, oh, you can use my name if you like, so thank you very much. If you do send me in questions, then unless you specifically say, oh yeah, you can use my name, then I won't say it, just in case you don't want it to be kind of like shared on a public platform. But I can't help but see the comments here. What does Penny say now? When I start needing glasses for running, then I will want to die. Thanks, Penny. Let's keep it light, shall we? Yeah, let's keep it light. Thank you for that. Let's go to the questions. So I'm going to bring up on the screen, for those who listen to the podcast, then I'm going to bring up kind of a summary of the question, then I'll read out the actual question itself as it was sent in on the email. But first of all, I'm going to go straight to the first question. Bring it up on the screen. There she is. The short version of the question is investing in exercise prescription software worth it? We always think, I was laughing with you off air about this, because our first 2 episodes with you have been very much about 2023 is going to be a tight year. Let's do sensible things, prepare for it now, which is an important message. I think this is kind of continuing on from that. This person wrote in and said, in a year where money is going to be tight as ever, is investing in exercise prescription software a bold move?
Yeah, good question. It may or may not be, and it depends on you. It depends on how frequently you use it, whether you want to use this sort of software. I personally am a big supporter of innovative exercise softwares or any sort of softwares, practice management softwares. I'm really keen on the AI softwares out there, and have just subscribed to ChatGPT Plus, for example. I think subscriptions are really useful, and they make life easier. So for me, I couldn't live without it. But it really depends on you, how much you use it, how much you want to promote yourself, because exercise softwares, like practice management softwares, they buzz your clients, they buzz your patients, they send emails, they send SMSs. It's like a contact with the patient or client. And so I personally think you actually get the value back. You get the money back, I believe, for £10.34 a month, which is the STA special rate. I think it's very good value, and I think it's worth it. But it does depend on each individual circumstance. Yes, money is tight. Yes, bills have gone up. Yes, everything, we haven't put our price up, but most things have gone up, and so people will be feeling a pinch. But I believe that what this 1/4 or 1/5 of one client pays for it for the month. And when you put it into perspective, I think that is not a lot. And the thing is you need the stuff to make life easier. Yeah, you can draw stickmen, but it's a pain in the backside. And for £10 a month, I just think it's easier just to get something that does it for you.
Yeah, you said everything that was kind of in my mind. Putting it into like a quarter or something of each client once a month. It's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, and if it's worth working out your costs each month, you know that your insurance is going to cost £40 a month. You know that your practice management software is going to cost £30 a month. Your exercise prescription software is going to cost £10 a month. And you know that your couch rolls and your massage lotion is going to cost £10 a month. And so you know that your costs are 2 clients a month, or 1 client a month, or 4 clients a month. If you work at it like that, and you get yourself into the mindset, well, I need 4 clients to break even, and after that it's profit. And to work out what your rent is, and how many clients do I need to pay my rent each month, and then you go out and you drive and you get those numbers, and it gives you a goal, it gives you a target, and so you start to go, right, my goal is I need 6 clients to break even each month, or 8 clients to break even each month, and I'm going to go out and get there 15, 16, 20 clients a week. And so what your margins are.
Let's imagine somebody out there. I imagine a few people they're kind of already like nose up against the wall or can't spend anything else. What comes to your mind where maybe they could reduce their outgoings to visually, maybe even £10 a month, and then think, right, I've managed to save on that, now I can get this? Offhand, can you think of any ways that people maybe are overspending, or they could cut back somewhere?
Yeah, I know so many ways. Look, I mean, the first way is your mobile phone. Most people, if you're spending more than £14 a month on your mobile phone, you're spending too much. Phone up mobile phone company. Most people do SIM-only deals now. So you buy the phone outright. You've got the SIM-only deal. You should be getting it for £10, £11, £12 a month. And includes loads of data, all your text messages, your calls, etc. That'll save you £3 or £4 a month. Virgin Media, if anyone's on Virgin Media, you'll be very regularly receiving letters from them saying they're putting up the prices again. It drives me nuts. Phone them up, say, right, I'm leaving. There's an option on Virgin Media, I think it's option 5 or 6. Go through to them, say, look, I've really had enough. I'm really fed up with these price changes. I'm going to go to a Freeview box and just get my internet from PlusNet. And they've just pulled our price down from 85 to £55 a month. That saves me £30 a month. There's loads of ways to save money if you've got a bit of time just to call up. Because what they do is everything's on subscription nowadays. Your insurance is on a subscription. Your house insurance, your car insurance, your mobile phone, your gas bills, everything's on subscription. And what happens is every year they nudge up, they go up slightly and slightly and slightly. And if you can be bothered to phone them up and actually go, actually, you know what, this is too high, can I get a better deal? You can get some very, very good deals. It just takes effort. And I'm pretty lazy. I tend to just let them run for 2 or 3 years, and I go, oh, for goodness sake, it's getting too expensive. I'll phone them up. But that's a really easy way to save money. My mother's health insurance, I phoned them up. I said, this is getting ridiculous. It's £400 a month. And they pulled it down to, I can't remember what they pulled it down to, but they knocked a massive amount off. And so you can often get these subscriptions down when you nudge them up.
Excellent. Yeah, really good advice about the phones. And often you don't know until you go into the shop, especially if your contract has come to an end. And I won't bother saying, yeah, well, O2, for example, they say they've changed it now, but I realised mine had come to an end, and I'm just paying for the rate now the phone's being paid for. And after a while, I was thinking, this seems very expensive. Let's go in the shop. And he was like, oh, young kids, he kind of says, oh, this is a bit high, isn't it? I was like, you're telling me that. And he said, oh, I can sort it. I was paying like, I don't know, £35 a month or something for 2 gig. And he said, oh, I can put it on this. It's £12 a month for unlimited gig. I went,
yeah.
Let me think about it. Yeah, it's like, but unless you go in the shop, it's a sad world we live in. Unless you ring up and you ask, then you can go on paying.
Because most people don't, you see. Most people just carry on paying. They just get used to it coming out of the bank. You know, we all get on subscriptions. And actually, if you really stop and just drill down and say, actually, you know, those subscriptions keep going up. Ours don't on RMP, but most of them do. And just speak to them and say, actually, I want your best deal. And it will save you loads per month.
Very good. Great advice. Yes. And yeah, you did mention the STA discount.
Yeah.
Penny from Somas just said, I don't have the special rate on Happy Face. I've been using the software since 2018, but only remember the STA this year. Well, there you go. That's the way you can save
just email us, email support. Just send us your email address, Penny, or put it in the chat. I can get it sorted for you.
Fantastic. Nicky Mansfield just said, my sim is just 85p a month.
Wow.
What is that for, like one text and a call? Well, anyway, but only £6 a month after 6 months. Quid's in, she said.
Smart move.
She just.
What was it before, though? What was it before you got the 85p deal?
Exactly. Before she went in the shop, it was like £49 a month.
Yeah.
Anyway, so great advice there. Really good. Yeah, I mean, it's when you put it down to how much it is as a percentage of a client and the time you save. I think you just said we often forget about our time. If we're charging X amount an hour and it's taking us every day an hour and a half to do this, well, there's your £40, £50 a day.
Right. And most people, what they do is when they're working inefficiently, they finish at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, they do all the stuff. They do all the paperwork and the admin and the exercise plans, and that's a really, really bad idea. And never ever do it. You always do all your admin and paperwork during the session. Never stay late ever. If your last patient finishes at 9 p.m., you finish at 9 p.m. You need to be out the door like 9:05. Yeah, don't get caught into the trap of, oh, I'll run over. Oh, I'll just do this for them. Oh, I'll do a letter now for them. If they want an exercise plan and a letter and or whatever, you do it during the session, during their time. And also, it takes 5 minutes of pressure off your hands and your body. So you spend that dedicate that 5 minutes to admin. Always finish at least 5 minutes before the end of your session with every single client. Don't think you have to go right up until 2 minutes to 9 or 2 minutes to 8 p.m. to finish that person. And you know what? They won't get any worse treatment. They won't complain about it. And they'll actually be really grateful that you spent the time to sit down and go through this stuff with them.
Great stuff.
So it's about being working smart, working efficiently, finish on time with your clients, get the exercise plan to them during the session or the letter or the admin or the insurance work or whatever it is you need to do during the session, and never, ever stay late. And when you're working efficiently, these things take time. So you end up drawing things. You end up trying to email them. You end up trying to make a video for them. And it's attrition on you. You finish, you go home, that's it. Work's done, massage is done, therapy's done, soft tissue therapy's done, physio, whatever, it's finished. And that's what I tell all my guys.
Brilliant. I reckon at least 60% of people are thinking, yeah, I wish. And they're thinking, no, I have to stay behind.
I wish. Make it happen. Make it happen. Your last patient tomorrow night, your last client tomorrow night, make sure you finish on time. Do not go 1 minute over. No paperwork. And be out the door within 5 minutes. Lock up, alarm on, out, done.
Excellent, powerful words. I feel quite intimidated. Gary Benson has said we'll be talking to STA members in the coffee evening chat tomorrow, every other Wednesday, at 19:30 hours about business planning, client acquisition, retention, and business expenditure. There you go. Every other Wednesday is a coffee morning, guys. So
it's going to be key. You know, we're getting pinched. Everything's going up in value, in price. Everything's costing more, and we just need to supplement with maybe an extra client or two each week. And just go out there and get them and network and tell everyone what you do. Tell everyone. Every time you speak to someone, use it as an opportunity. If anyone ever asks you for a favor, ever, ask for a favor back. And I got taught that by Professor Tony Young, who's the head, the NHS England's clinical innovation lead, who's an amazing guy and a real mentor to me. And he says, if someone asks you for something, you have every right to ask them something back. And that's what the Americans are really good at. And as a Brits, we're always a bit like, oh, do you know what? I can't really ask. If someone asks you for something, then you say to them, by the way, this is what I do. Can you please mention it to your friends and family? Have you got a network? You can just post it on a WhatsApp group that this is what I do, and get your name out there and promote yourself. And don't be ashamed to promote yourself, because we don't do it well enough. Have confidence that you're great at what you do. Tell them to share things with their network.
Good words. Excellent. Right, so we're going to move on to question 2 now, which was sent in. The summary version of it, which I'm bringing up on the screen, is question 2. Easy to show regression and progression. So this is getting into the nitty-gritty more of depending on the clinical software you've got. But the whole question was, how easy is it on clinic software to indicate regression and progression options to clients?
It's very, very easy. I mean, you know what? I think first of all, to understand progressions and regression, we need to understand principles of exercise rehabilitation. And what it is, it's about prescribing the right level of exercise for your client. So we make it specific. We're not just going to give everybody Olympic lifting. We might start with we're not going to jump into a clean and jerk. We might start with a squat. We might start with a shoulder press. We might start with with a lunge. So we can break down the movement parts of each exercise to make them easy. And the key thing is with exercise prescription is you want to start easy. Start with the simple stuff. Because sometimes you can give. I mean, we're so conditioned to see these crazy exercises on TikTok and social media and Instagram, and we think we've got to do a plyometric jump into a lunge, into a Romanian deadlift, but you don't. Start with a simple exercise like a wall squat. Yeah, and okay, it's not the most functional exercise, but it's not bad and it's easy. And you know what? It's a do no harm exercise. And we want to start with the do no harm exercises. I always say keep them simple. So I really regress people early. And if they come back, and I do it every week. So every week I'll say, how's the exercises going? Right, should we make that one harder? Right, just click that, edit that. Right, let's bring that one in. And so you might start with body weight exercises. Start with body weight exercise before you progress to a weighted exercise. Yeah? And so, this is how you can progress. And there's variations of each exercise, like a core exercise. I mean, I just share my screen. Can I share? I guess I can share.
Bring this up. I'll put it on full screen, but people can still hear you behind it.
Does that come up?
There you go.
Yeah. So look, I mean, let's look at so it's a strength and conditioning exercise that we've got are fairly advanced. They're a lot of machine-based stuff, and plyos and bands and whatnot. But let's just go to core for a really good example of how you can regress or progress someone. So, with a core exercise, you might just start with something really, really simple, like a 4-point kneeling exercise. It's really easy. Okay, it's pretty much anybody can do it. They can do it on a bed or on the floor, whatever. And they can just start to learn to activate or find their core muscles. Yeah, and then you can progress to, just lifting one arm up in front of you, or lifting one arm up slightly off the mat. And then now you're starting to become less stable. So you're reducing your stability, which makes the exercise more challenging, right? So these are pretty basic exercises. And then you start going on to more complicated core exercises, and then you can start going on to some people call this a kneeling Superman, some people just call this a horse stance, some people call this a bird dog, some people call this a quadruped. There's lots of different names for the same thing, but if we just call it a horse stance or a quadruped or a bird dog or whatever, I don't mind. But, you can start to make it more challenging, and then from there, you can go on to more advanced core exercises. It might be like a kneeling forward ball roll. We'll go on to it, and that's a tough exercise. We'll go on to a plank forward ball roll, like this one. Yeah, and so this is a much tougher exercise, and so I think, and if you want to go even tougher, try doing circles in a plank position on a ball. That's a super, super, super hard exercise, right? And so you can progress people very, very easily by understanding the principles of exercise prescription. And the principles are, if you want to progress them, usually you decrease the amount of stability in the exercise, or you can add weight to the exercise, or you can add variation to the exercise, And so there's lots of ways to progress an exercise to make it more challenging. And generally, as they get stronger and fitter and are used to the easy exercises, you gradually progress them each week. And that's what I do. So I look at them each week, and then we'll edit and we'll bring in slightly tougher exercises.
Excellent. Those who listen to the podcast, Tim was bringing up on the screen some screenshots from Rehab My Patient. I'm interested, are they, it looks like they were kind of almost in an order of progression. Is that something you've done on there so people can see rate of difficulty? Or
yeah, in most cases, like this is a really good example. Look, you've got a side plank going into a full side plank, so a kneeling side plank going into a full side plank, going into a very advanced side plank. This is a very tough exercise.
That's good.
You know, and so you know, and then you can go into a reverse plank that's not so tough, and then a stronger reverse plank. You know, and so yeah, they often progress and make them difficult. I mean, in some cases, you know, you might go from a chair-based exercise to a standing-based exercise. You know, you might go from a single leg balance to a single leg balance with your eyes shut. You know, so you can progress them by reducing stability, by bringing variation in, by making an exercise slightly more functional. So there's lots of ways to progress or regress exercises. And yeah, I mean, you know, you can add a band. You can do a hip abduction exercise with body weight, or you can add a band to make it tougher. And so, you know, it's that's how you progress.
I think that's another, looking at you showing the illustrations on the screen, I think that's another way that investing in exercise prescription software can help, because either one, maybe you're new to it and you've got to fake it till you make it kind of thing, which we all done. If you are by trade a massage therapist and you haven't done much strength and conditioning prescription, and you kind of do a course or a workshop and some CBD, you're still going to be a little bit tentative before giving exercises. You're not going to have a vast variety of exercises in your mind or experience. So having something, a bit of kit like this, can really help introduce you to new exercises and give you ideas on how to regress and progress. Eventually, like everything, once you've done it for a while, it will become more natural and you'll start inventing your own exercises and adapting them. And also for people, I'm thinking are even more advanced, the older you get, sometimes you get a little bit rigid and you always go out the same exercises and you forget about these other little ones. Like I've just seen some on the screen, I'm thinking, oh yeah. And suddenly it just freshens things up, which is important for compliance and making sure that, you know, your patients aren't getting sick of the same thing. So yeah.
And you know, you want to make it interesting and make it fun for patients, and you can do that by adding variation. And so you progress them. But what you don't want to do is go in too hard with an exercise. They get sore. They come back to you and say, actually, that exercise aggravated it. I feel worse from the exercise. And that we see that all the time. People come to us and say, it happens to me every week. Someone says, I got sent these exercises by my NHS physio and I feel worse from the exercise. And I bet every single one of you has seen a client that said they've got worse from the exercises, but for someone they've seen, let's say an NHS physio, which happens. You look at the exercise plan and you go, I mean, why are you doing that? Why are you loading that shoulder so much when you're in so much pain? You know, and yeah, and you know, the patient says, well, my physio said, yeah, I know you can't go wrong getting strong, and I say, yeah, I know, but you're in so much pain, you can barely lift your arm. You know, it's got to be graduated. It's got to be appropriate. It's got to be the right level for where you're at. And you're not at that level. You need to, first of all, work on reducing inflammation and pain and improving mobility. You need to go for a rehabilitation, a stepped approach.
Yeah, that's so important. And we have all of those clients. And I think it's important to remember that often it's an example of how the healthcare practitioner at the other end might have said one thing, but they haven't checked for understanding, and the client has walked out with a totally different impression, which is what people do.
And that's another reason why it's useful to have a tool that gives an exercise description, a picture, and a video. All right, because patients do misunderstand it. You know, if you describe it or you draw it, you can miss things. If you're recommending ice and heat, you know, you need to put in advice not to burn yourself, because people do go and burn themselves, and it's crazy, but it happens all the time. I've seen lots of ice burns, I've seen lots of heat burns. You know, the skin gets very mottled from heat burns, and you look at it and think, oh dear. You know, so you need the right information on these exercises, and you don't want to be writing it out. It's a real pain. You need to stay safe as well, because people do find they get injured occasionally, not too often, but you've got to be very careful.
Very nice. Good stuff. Yes. Actually, what you were talking about there leads in nicely to the next question, I believe, when you said getting variety in there. And I think you even used the word used in this next question. Let's bring this up. A lovely segue here. So the short version is, how much fun is a printed out list of exercises? A little bit of a cynical question there, the person who sent it in, but hey, the full question was, I'm a firm believer in making exercise fun. Great, we talked about that. I think it was yourself and many other people who said that's important. How much fun is a printed out list of exercises?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what your goal is. I mean, you know, if you're in pain, your goal is you're not focused. Your goal is to get out of pain, right? If you're particularly stiff, your goal is probably to improve range of mobility. If you're particularly weak or hypermobile, your goal is to improve stability, to get stronger. You know, I mean, what is the goal? If you're a 14-year-old kid with 𝐷𝐲 disease, your probably goal is to have fun. You know, and so it depends what you want to do. If you're an elite athlete and you're bored and maybe you do want to bring in some really fun exercises. You know, I used to work with a lot of golfers. You know, and we'd be throwing medicine balls at each other, standing on one leg. We'd be doing sit-ups while throwing medicine balls. So you want to make it really dynamic, really active, because they're exercising all the time. So when they're with you, you want to make it really dynamic and fun. So it depends on you. It depends on your client. It depends on their circumstances. Are you going to be doing fun exercises with everybody? No. Can you? If you can make it fun, it makes it more interesting. But it's not appropriate for everyone. You've got to figure out, what does your client need? What's the goal? You know, it's not easy for someone to have fun when they're in loads of pain. They've got acute back pain. They've come to see you because they're really, really stuck, and you're not really going to make a fun exercise. You're going to be like, look, this is a really basic mobility, do no harm, lumbar spine mobilization. Like, you know, like I have a set pattern that I give a lot of my acute back pains. They're not fun, but they really help. You know, I first of all I tell them to lie on their back, and I you know, and they put their knees to one side, you know, and then I get them to sit on a chair, and I gently rotate to each side just to mobilize the back, you know. And these are do no harm exercises, you know, and then I'll get them to do a side flexion exercise. So I just go here. You can just, if you just use this favorite icon, and they'll pop to the top, you know. And I add just a simple basic side flexion exercise. It's not fun, but they're in acute pain. You know, they need to mobilize the back. So it very much depends on your client. What do they want? What are their goals? Where are they at with them? Are they in pain? Are they elite athlete? Are they functional? Are you trying to get functional exercise? Are you trying to improve mobility? What's your goal? And if your goal is actually they're bored and they're stale and they just want to do fun stuff, then bring in the cool functional stuff. It could be hopping, it could be plyos, it could be jumping, it could be squatting, it could be, you know, it could be any number of things. And so that's how you can make it fun if you do want to make it fun.
Definitely. I think maybe the person who sent that question in, because once upon a time, I mean, probably some of the most boring drab black and white photos have been printed in kind of exercise books, and they're just a load of text, and there's really kind of, must have been a budget thing, but some really boring black and white photos of somebody doing an exercise.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were all done in 1 year and it's quite cool and trendy when photographs just came out. But things have moved on a lot, and people listen to podcasts. It'd be worth having a look at the YouTube recording of this, because you can see the color, you can see the movement, they're dynamic, the photos that are going on there, it's all laid out. It's visually, it's nice. If I was a client and I was receiving something, because that's important as well. You want to receive something that looks nice, that looks professional, and it's kind of inspires you to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, and also, you know, a great way to have fun with exercises is to decrease the amount of stability on the exercise. You know, like if you want to start bringing a ball into an exercise, you know, you could do this on a bench, but if you bring a ball in it, it makes it quite fun, and so you start to like make exercise a bit more fun by reducing the stability, and then so as you're wobbly, you're challenging yourself, and that's a really cool way to bring a bit of funness into exercises.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, okay, let's move on to questions, because I know before I've kind of like let you talk for 3 questions, we haven't answered the other 3. But yeah, great questions, people. Thank you for sending those in. Let's progress to the next one. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. It's not that one. Question 4. Right, short version. How did you decide what to put in the functional exercise section? So the full version of it was, Oh, actually, yeah, it was nice. The full version was, "Hey Tim, really happy to see the new strength and conditioning section in RMP. How did you decide what to put in the functional exercise section and what to leave out?" So I guess they're questioning what is functional these days. It's a term that's been bashed around.
And that's I think that's the real crux of the question, isn't it? Is what exactly a functional exercise is, and that's a tricky question. I've got a really good answer. I think I've got a really good answer for you. Sorry.
That's great.
So look, first of all, hands up, I didn't write the S&C section. Although I've got a decent amount of knowledge in S&C, we actually employed a strength and conditioning expert who is a strength and conditioning coach. And so a lot of this is his interpretation of this, which I think he's got it pretty well, and of course I was involved in it, but he was he's an expert in S&C, and so we often utilize other experts in certain areas. And so look, what is functional? And the thing is functional is very dependent upon what is your goal. Okay, so we usually bring functional in at the last stage. In my experience, and this is what I recommend, is you bring functional in at the last stage of your rehabilitation process. Okay, so in your first processes, they're in pain, and we need to reduce pain and inflammation, and we want to make sure the joints are mobile, the movement is mobile, the range of movement is improved. So we look at mobility, and then we bring stability, and we bring strengthening, and then we'll often do functional. Now, the point is what is the goal? Now, if your goal is to walk your dog and you've got shoulder pain or tennis elbow, then it might be an exercise where you're just holding a dumbbell out in front of you. Yeah. Or it might be an exercise where you're pulling a TheraBand like you might pull a lead on a dog. And so the exercise is designed around what the goal is of what that person wants to get back to as a functional exercise. Now, if you're a golfer, their goal is they want to get back on a driving range or on a golf course. Okay, and let's say they've got acute back pain, they've got back pain. So we might do more rotation-based exercises. So we'll look at functional exercises based on rotation. So the golfer knows that he can swing or she can swing, and her back's not going to go out. Her back's not going to go into acute spasm, right? They could be a footballer that's recovering from, let's say, from knee surgery. Yeah, let's say they've had an ACL repair. Okay, what are our functional goals? Well, our functional goals are that footballer needs to change direction. Yeah, they need to change position. They need to jump. They need to jump on one leg. They need to jump and twist. They need to jump and head a ball. And they've got to land and know that they're not going to blow their knee. Right? They've got to run in different directions. Yeah. So our functional exercises will probably be situated around multi-directional hopping on one leg, jumping in different directions, lunging in different directions, backward lunging, forward lunging walks, making things a bit more multi-directional. We have a term called 𝐾ods and 𝐾𝐽𝑜ps, which is one of the terms I learned from doing some work experience with a Super League netball team many years ago. And they used to talk about 𝐾ods and 𝐾ods, 𝐾ops and 𝐾ods, change of direction and change of pace. So, when change of pace, we might bring in an exercise where we're running at 45-degree angles, and we might start slowly and go faster and slowly and faster. So we change of pace, we're making it functional. Change of direction. Change of direction is a very important rehabilitation, functional rehabilitation. We don't just want to work in one plane. If you're a boxer, you're not just going to do a pushing exercise with a machine, because you're never just doing this. You're doing this. You're in different. Your arms coming in different positions. So you need to change direction. So you change pace, you change direction, and that's how you make the exercise functional. So you've got to work out what's your goal. What does the client need to do? Yeah, and then you design the exercise plan around what their functional needs are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, wonderfully. Yeah, really good way of explaining it. I think that's great. So, yeah, definitely. So in your library, because I think I remember there's like about 110 or something off the top of my head. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's.
How have they chosen what's in there? Is it the idea that this could be applied to a certain sport, or these are movements?
Yeah, it's going to apply to different sports. It's a few things. I mean, look, functional is a very individual thing, right? And functional is you can't make a generic functional really a functional category, because functional depends on what your function is. Whether you're walking a dog or you're a professional boxer, they have different functions. You have different functional needs. If you're a skier, your exercise rehabilitation is going to be completely different to a cross-country runner. Okay, and so it's so functional really is a bit of a misnomer. It's much more about creating the exercise for that function or goal for that particular person. So you can use these actually, pretty much any of these exercises could be deemed as being functional. A cable push could be deemed as being functional because you've got a rotation in there. You might do a rotational cable pull, like a wood chop, for example. So actually any of these could be fairly functional if it suits the needs of what your goal is.
Great explanation. Very nice. Okay, good answer. Don't forget, people. Actually, let me scroll back. I think right at the beginning, I've got a funny feeling at the beginning of show, somebody asked a question. It slipped. So we did. I thought so. I haven't read this yet, so taking a gamble here. Question for Tim. Just a bit of help with template prescriptions to save time on RMP. What's the best way to go about it? Looking forward to the new additional exercises, Tim. Thank you. Okay, something a bit technical there. So
yeah. I mean, look, the thing about templates is basically templates basically save you time, right? And a template is just a really, really, really easy way just to blast out an exercise plan for a patient with the same problem or a client with the same problem to get it out quickly because you're short of time. Because I'm not a big fan of templates. I think exercises should be bespoke. But yeah, I do sometimes use templates because I do sometimes see people coming in with the same problem. So it's fine to use a template. And there's plenty of digital apps and digital tools out there, and they're just templates. So it's fine to use them. And so the best way to do it is just go to templates. You can go to RMP templates if you want. Let's pick an RMP template. Like this is also educational. So let's say, let's look at Achilles tendinopathy. Yeah. You might want a progressive Achilles tendinopathy program. So look at weeks 1 to 3. We base this on we base this on different protocols. For example, we've got our protocol here. We've got the 𝐫𝐸𝐬𝐤's protocol. 𝐫𝐸𝐬𝐤's a researcher that did a lot of research on various exercises. We've got 𝐼𝐸𝐻's protocol as well. So if we go to Alfred's, no, actually that is the Alfred's. The Achilles program is the 𝐼𝐻's program, and so we look at let's look at Achilles tendinopathy weeks 1 to 3. Okay, so so we start on the mobility stuff and we start on some gentle concentric strengthening, and then we progress to eccentric strengthening. Okay, so there's different levels of progressive levels of Achilles loading from going into eccentric exercise on steps and concentric exercise on steps. Okay, so it's very, very quick. If to make an exercise program, all you do is you simply select a patient. You've got your template set up. Click assign, and an email, and bosh, you've sent the exercise plan in, and it takes 15 seconds. Yeah, and now they've got an exercise plan weeks 1 to 3 for Achilles tendinopathy. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's really, really cool. And if you've got the time, make it bespoke. Yeah, or if you don't have the time or the knowledge, utilize the templates that are there, or build your own templates. All you do is go to My Templates, create your first template, select. Let's give it. Can give an example of a particular something we might see come in that we might want to give exercises format.
Okay, let's go for.
Just pick something really hard.
Rotator cuff.
Rotator cuff. Okay, are they acute or chronic? Is it a tear? Is it tendinopathy? Is it a partial thickness tear? Is it full thickness tear? Is it completely?
I think it's a chronic issue that just will never be.
Chronic Achilles tendinopathy. Okay,
yeah.
So let's say that they've got chronic Achilles tendon. Chronic rotator cuff tendinopathy. Let's just say they've got a subacromial pain syndrome or impingement. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my subacromial pain syndrome. I'm going to say it's quite sore. It's a lot of inflammation there. Let's just give a simple pendulum exercise, a rock the baby, and a passive arm lift. Okay, there's my template there. Let's give an exercise sheet on subacromial pain syndrome, which is impingement, okay, or it's a tendinopathy if you like, or an inflammation and bursitis. It includes lots of things. Okay, let's call my name shoulder rehab level 1, week 1 or something like that. Press continue. There's my template. Put your sets and reps in. So repeat for 1 minute. Do it 5 times a day. Put your sets and reps in. Press save. Okay, that's now in there as a template, right? And so if that patient comes back with rotator cuff tendinopathy or subacromial pain syndrome, I've got my template in there. All I do, you can just open it up or just click assign to patient, and select select your patient here, put test patient, assign, email, bosh, it's done. So fast. That's it.
Very good. Yeah, there's a treat there, people. As I say, if you listen to the podcast, then that was all done to the background of flicking through the different categories on Rehab My Patient. So yeah, really cool. Yeah. Great question. Thanks for that, Andy. Yeah.
Look, we're all busy, right? We're all busy. We're busy practitioners, right? And we want to maximize our patient contact time with this sort of stuff. So you kind of need something that works quickly, and it is a tool that helps you work quickly.
And it's really nice that you're pointing out, because it's almost, I think, yeah, something like people don't like admitting. Oh yeah, all my exercises are totally individual, and but no, once you've been in the game for a while, you're going to know this person's coming with this. This is going to be the first 1 to 4 weeks. I might tweak it a little bit, but essentially, this is what we need for you. So why waste your time? No,
absolutely. You know what? You can make templates. There's nothing against making templates. It's probably better that you use a template and then you can edit it as well. You can make the generic template. You might just add or edit it. You can do that very, very easily. You just simply click the edit button when you create the template. And you know what? It's just a quick way to work. There's nothing wrong with it. Is it better to do bespoke? Yes, it is better. But if you're not sure and you need a bit of support, then use a template.
Fantastic, brilliant. Right, you've naturally done a little segue again to the next question, which is lovely. This is like going on screen tonight. So I'll bring up question 5, which is as follows. So what are your beliefs on reps and sets? The whole question to this was...
I love this question.
Yeah, I'm reading a lot these days. That's always dangerous. With people saying that reps and sets don't really matter. As long as you reach fatigue, the body will get stronger. What are your beliefs on reps and sets? So we saw you saying, "I'll just fill out the reps, fill out the sets, blah blah blah." What's your belief on that?
So I think it's about making it individual for your client. So work out what your client needs. I guess, if we want to do a little bit more hypertrophy, we want to put on a little bit more muscle bulk, we probably want to go slightly lower and heavier with weights. If we're looking for more endurance, or then we probably want to look a little bit more with lower weights, with more reps. That's a very basic way. There's a lot of practitioners out there that actually use very simple methods of exercise prescription in terms of reps and sets, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because because you want to keep it as well fairly simple for people. And you know what? There are lots of different methods for doing tempos and rest periods in between reps and whatnot, but it makes it complicated. And there are plenty of people out there, and I know it's criticized heavily, that just use 10 by 3, 10 reps 3 times. And I get the criticisms, and I'm not saying it's right, but it's straightforward. And some patients just need simple. They need to know they do it 10 times twice. They need to know they do it 15 times 3 times a day. And the thing is you want good adherence. And sometimes simple advice means better adherence to the exercises, because we know that a lot of people do the exercise for the first few days and then they tail off and stop doing the exercises. And the more complicated you make it, sometimes the less adherence you're going to have, because people just they can't figure it out. It's easy just holding a stretch for 30 seconds. But if you put in hold a stretch for 15 seconds, then 30 seconds, then 45 seconds, it gets complicated.
Definitely. I'm just going to refresh it a sec because your sound's getting a little bit muffled. It might be our
Sorry,
end.
it's probably me
Is it you?
buzzing and moving backwards and forwards. Is that
Oh, that's
better?
better. Let's come back. That's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm just worried because it was important information, and the last words was kind of getting a bit muffled.
And so, look, so I think, first of all, make it simple and appropriate for your particular client. If you're working with someone elite, yeah, bring in tempos and rest periods and graded reps and sets, fine, and make it more interesting and focus it more on what they're trying to achieve. Maybe it's endurance based, maybe it's hypertrophy, maybe it's strength based, maybe it's balance based, maybe it's stability. If it's stability, we might want to give 1 rep and hold it for 2 or 3 minutes. You know, when I first learned rehabilitation, I worked with the great Paul Check, and we used to do a lot of stability training, and they would hold, elite athletes would hold positions for 3 minutes, like holding a plank for 3 minutes, or holding a Superman or a dart for 3 minutes. You know, and so you might be 1 rep. You know, and so it really depends on what your client needs. What's the goal of what you're trying to achieve?
Great, yeah, great advice. And again, it's nice to hear, because therapists worry with all the chit chat on social media sometimes that they have to do something complicated, and
they do.
You know,
and if you're not sure, don't do something complicated. Start with 10 reps times twice a day, or 10 reps times 2 sets, or 10 reps times 3. There's nothing wrong with it. But the good thing is your client is going to understand it. And then, you know, but you won't probably give a 10 reps times 3 sets to an elite athlete. You know, they're just that's boring to an elite athlete. And so you've got to pitch it right for your particular client or patient.
Definitely. And as we talked about before, and you mentioned, like, if you accompany that with the idea of progression and progression, as long as they understand they're supposed to be progressing, if they're not reaching fatigue, then that takes away the idea of just somebody standing there doing 10 and stopping because they've hit 10, which I think is one of the problems with the 3x10. People just do it and they're not actually giving any reason for their body to change. So
yeah, exactly.
Great stuff. Right, where are we? Oh, this is great. We're going to fit in all the questions. Right, okay, thank you for that. I've got one last question, which actually somebody sent in and we didn't get time to do at the beginning of last month. So we've got time to put it in. And he actually said his name's Alex Moore, STA member from Pilates Performance Therapy .co.uk.
Hi, Alex.
I'll bring up the question now on the screen. With the short version just for the screen, and I'll read out the whole question. Right, so it's something we talked about last month, the first Tuesday of last month. I think it was Catherine talking about negotiating leases, and Alex Moore's whole question is, hi Tim, I'm in the process of looking, do you always worry when an email starts, hi Tim, it's like, here we go. Hi Tim, I'm in the process of looking for a new venue to use a Pilates studio with formal mats with a treatment room built in. I've potentially found somewhere, but I'm unsure what to do in regards to negotiation of the lease. The venue is being discussed privately with the owners, it's an old dance studio, rather than an agent, and there is quite a bit of work that needs doing to get it up to standard. I was just wondering if there was any advice in regards to types of lease and how you could negotiate if you have to carry out work to get it up and to the use-able standard. Thanks, Alex.
Well, it won't surprise you to know I've got a lot of experience in this area. And so, look, I've been in this situation of having to negotiate leases, license periods, etc.
Oh, I'm sorry, your cable again. It's gone a bit muffled.
Right.
I've got to make sure we get the answer to this on tender hooks.
Yeah, tell me if you lose me. So I've got a lot of experience in this area, and I've been to many lease negotiations and license negotiations. So the first thing to establish is, are you on solid grounds or not? I mean, for example, what's the macro picture here? For example, if you've just lost a lease on your current premises and you need to be out in the next month, you're not on solid ground, and you're going to have to take what they're probably offering at a bit less of a hardball rate. I would say always negotiate. Now, what we know is, the macro climate is not suiting to commercial properties. We know there's office space going empty. We know there's shops and high streets with empty shops. And so I think the commercial sector has been hit fairly hard, which gives us an opportunity to negotiate. I think as well, you can negotiate hard, you can negotiate lightly. Ultimately, you've got to negotiate a win-win or a perceived win-win for you and the landlord. Now, how do you get that? Well, win-win means getting what you want at a rate you think is fair, and them getting what they want at what they think is fair, and meeting in the middle. So both of you feel like you've both got a fair deal. Now, things you can do to negotiate at least. Well, first of all, if you're on a good footing, like let's say that space has been empty for the last 2 years, then you're on a really good footing, right? Because you know that space is not being used by anybody else. So you can negotiate hard, right? And that might mean saying to them, I would start off saying something like, what is the absolute minimum price you would be happy receiving each month? What is your absolute minimum? And they might say, I won't go below £800 a month or £2,000 a month, whatever it is. That's my bottom price. And then you say, you say, well, I'm sorry, but there's a premises down the road for £1,500 a month. Unless you can come lower than that, I'm going to have to walk away. Or there might be nothing else available in your area, and you might have to say, actually, yeah, I'd accept that. So I'd say, what's their lowest price? And how much work is there need to be done? You kind of ask this in the question, but it could be you've got to spend 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 pounds on someone else's property. And if you've got to spend a lot of money on someone else's property, you deserve a rent-free period. Simple. Because if you don't spend the money, they'll have to spend the money, or someone will have to spend the money. And the landlord will be going, this is fantastic. This guy's going to decorate, paint, put carpets in. This is brilliant. This is my premises they're investing in. So it's a huge win for the landlord. If you're going to decorate and invest in their premises, yeah, then you can negotiate a rent-free period to cover the cost. But it depends how strong you're fitting in, because maybe there's 5 other people that want that space, and they're prepared to also invest the money in it. So it depends. But there's lots of ways to negotiate with rent-free periods, with discounted rents, with graded rent, with agreements that the rent will stay the same for a certain number of years. You could agree the same rent for 5 years. I've got a premises I lease on 5-yearly increments, and the price doesn't go up for 5 years. It might be that the premises need a new boiler. I had to move into one of my premises. When I got one of my premises, the heating system was a complete mess, and the landlord said to me, the boiler's going to go. It's an old boiler. There's a problem there. The heating system's old, and at some point you're going to need to put a new boiler in. But I'll give you 6 months free rent. And I went, yeah, that's a deal I'll take.
Good stuff. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Lots of ideas there, Alex. Yeah, very nice. It seems to fit in nicely with the fact that you said that there is a lot of work that's going to need to be done to get up to standard. So there you go. Think about some rent-free months. Yeah, good stuff. Find out what the prices are of other properties in the area to know how much you can dig your feet in. Great stuff.
Yeah. If you're a space in a particular busy city where there's not much space available, or there's not much parking or whatever, then you're on less ground to really negotiate, right? And so you've got to sort of establish, what's the demand for that space? What are other people interested? Is one of my competitors going to open up a gym instead of me? It's like, so you have to go high. You have to, you've got to really figure out what's the overall picture.
Great advice. Very nice. Right, look, it's 9:01, so we got through all the questions. Fantastic. Thank you, people, for joining us live in the live lounge. And thank you again, Tim Allardyce, for sitting in the hot seat. We do this every first Tuesday of the month. As long as Tim's available. He's not up a mountain. I think you said you were going up a mountain 1 month soon.
Yes,
maybe, so.
August. We're going to climb Ben Nevis with my 2 kids. We're going to do a motorhome for a month. So I might have great internet, and I may not have any internet, so it might be a bit hit and miss.
I remember you joined us from the Olympics at Tokyo once, so anything's possible if you can find some internet there. Fantastic. Well, that's really, you just let me know, but it's great. Really appreciate you sharing your words of wisdom.
Thanks. No, it's all good. I hope it's useful.
If people have been listening to the podcast and they want to get in contact with you, I think you said before the best way is they send us an email at the STA or something, and then
Yeah,
we'll
just
forward it
email
on
the
to you?
STA or you can email STA or message me on social media or something, or
On social media, you've got Rehab My Patient everywhere. I think it stays the same across.
Yeah, or at Tim Allardyce. Yeah, drop me an
Tim
email.
Allardyce. Is that the email address?
No. So I've got several different email addresses, but at Tim Allardyce will get me on Twitter and a couple of other things. But Tim at 𝐸physio.co.uk is a good email address. Tim at 𝐸physio.co.uk is sort of my main inbox.
Perfect. We'll make sure that goes into the show notes. Right then. So next week. Oh, Gary's coming up. Hold on. We've got a sudden appearance here from Mr. Gary Benson. Let's bring it up. Show and stream. Hey, Gary.
Okay.
Hi.
I just saw your name saying that you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be joining you afterwards, but hi, everybody.
So this is Gary Benson just coming to the screen. He's going to join us afterwards. But yeah, next week, April the 11th, like I say, we're going to start a month's focus on CPD. My guest is going to be Dr. Gary Mendoza, founder of Stages of Change, who I did do his motivation interviewing behavior change course a couple of months ago. And myself and a couple of other people on the course are going to be here with Dr. Gary Mendoza to chat about it. I've talked about it quite a few times. People might get sick to death of it, but I think it's just something which it's the missing link for a lot of therapists out there. You might be great with your hands, or a massive toolbox of things to do, but unless you're listening and using your ears and your mouth correctly, then maybe it's no surprise that your clients aren't getting better. So I would recommend you tune in if you can. Next Tuesday at 8 o'clock on the Sports Therapy Association YouTube channel for that. Anything you wanted to say, Gary, by the way? You're just kind of hanging.
No, nothing to add.
That's fine. So, Tim, once again, thank you very much. If you just hang around so I can say goodbye to you, I'll shut the live lounge off. Thanks to everyone who came to join us. Thanks for some excellent questions. It was lovely to see, once again, instigated by Gary. I think there was a question about exercise progression and regression there in the comments. So, like I say, if you listen to the podcast and you want to hang out on Tuesday night and chew the fat with some other soft tissue therapists, this is a great place to do it. But that's it for tonight. Thank you, Tim Allardyce, and look after each other, and hopefully see some of you in the live lounge next week. Take care.